You're listening to The Voice of Reason. I'm Dr. Len Saputo here with Francesco Garofoli. Today, you can see the light in our background here, and as it's going to be, we're going to talk about light and its effects on COVID-19 and its effects on the human body. You know, we take that so much for granted, don't you think, Francesco?
It's a funny thing. When something so simple could be so powerful, we tend to look the other way. We're so used to big invasive solutions to everything in life, especially our health. When you talk about light as a therapy, I think it brings up a lot of questions, but you've been doing it for a while.
Try 20 years.
Yeah.
And so I've learned a little something about it in that time. And the thing that's the most impressive to me is how many things it does and how it works. Uh, we're treating things that nobody else is able to treat successfully. Things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and traumatic brain injuries and MS, all kinds of pain problems, neuropathies. And it's so amazing that hardly anybody believes you. And so you wind up with patients referring you patients because they got better. And very few doctors will refer patients because they think it's all bunk and they don't study it. Even though now there are thousands of articles in the medical literature that are supporting its use. And where are they coming from? Harvard, the Boston VA, University of Boston University, and some other places in Europe. So there is a lot of data to back it up, but it's so new that people, it's almost unbelievable. I think it's hard to get something new to be accepted, don't you think?
Well, I hate to say this, but I know a little bit about how the medical industry works. And when the big pharma is paying researchers to research what they want, when big pharma is paying universities, paying professors, paying the system, paying congressmen, it's very difficult to see anything outside of that influence scope get looked at seriously.
Well, it's true. You know, big pharma is responsible for paying about 50% of what the FDA, the CDC, and what the National Institutes of Health gets in some cases. And so with that comes a lot of control. It's the same thing that Bill Gates is doing. As soon as you give away billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, there's a return on that investment, which means there's an allegiance and they're going to support what you want. And that's what happens.
And there's no conspiracy. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's just follow the money.
It's just the way it is.
An average person knows that term, right? Follow the money. And you'll know why a congressman votes the way they do. You'll know why doctors do what they do. You'll know why people do what they do. And this is just an important thing to know because it helps us make clear decisions.
That's right.
The key.
That sure is. And look at what this does. You know, I have every reason to believe that this could treat COVID-19 very effectively. I think enough to knock it out. And that sounds like a big statement to make, but we know that the light kills microbes. It kills viruses. And I've treated a lot of people who have had problems with health issues that are infections, and has helped them immensely. So we're talking about somebody getting a cold or a flu, and you wind up with the sore throat and the congestion that comes with that, and you got a little cough too. And if you'll treat that at the first sign of the infection and do it for 20 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day, and do that for 3 days, chances are you're not going to get that infection at all, or it'll be mild. Think of the impact that would have on COVID-19.
And it's non-invasive. And it's something that a clinician could possibly treat a patient with. You don't have to even go to a doctor per se. A doctor could oversee it.
It's true.
The point is, it's not complex and it's not that expensive.
Right.
Things like MRSA and so forth.
Oh no! I mean, I charge $60 for a 15-minute treatment. I think that's affordable.
Right.
I mean,
and the results are great. And you've told me stories, and I've talked to patients, and the stories have been amazing, and I think surprising in many cases. But light is a frequency, and we know what the power of music is. We know that's a frequency. We know the frequency of the sun to boost our vitamin D production in our body. So we know a lot about this. We might not know exactly about light therapy, but you're bringing something to the front here that's very important for people to know.
Well, we know a lot more than you might think about what light does. There are thousands of articles out there. And what we know now is that when you shine a light on a body, if the blood vessels are constricted from whatever problem you have, in seconds, it increases circulation. In seconds, it starts to increase the production of ATP, which is the energy currency of the body. You know, gasoline runs a car, ATP runs your body. It speeds up healing by about 40%. It increases lymphatic drainage. It produces collagen. It decreases inflammation and pain. It attracts activated stem cells. It does all these things, and it kills microbes. So and this is not just stuff that there's an article here or there that says it. These are well-tested articles that are coming out of where? Harvard University.
Yeah. And I love that these researchers are doing these projects because they're probably not being funded by big pharma, but it's so fascinating, and it feeds that part of a researcher, a medical practitioner that says, I want to do something that's going to help a patient. And if this is so simple and can do it, I've got to know more about it. So that's the spirit, I think, of light therapy that I really appreciate.
That's true. And you look at how it's received by the medical profession. I mean, the doctors that are, you know, my colleagues. It's so different from what they're used to, and it's so mind-blowing that it's hard to believe. You know, I have talked to a number of them over the years, and at the beginning they think, oh, that's amazing, Len, you know, and I know you, so I trust you. And then I say, well, let's get you into the office and let's show you what we do. Bring a couple of patients who have the kind of problem that that you're having trouble treating with, and let's see what we can do in about 15 to 30 minutes. And they say, oh, I'll do that. And I never hear from them because it just sounds like it's too much.
It's not in their realm of what they were trained. But when you see patients saying, you know, I've got this neuropathy, the pain is so frustrating, I don't know what to do, I've gone to 5 doctors already. How many times do you hear those stories?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they come for light therapy, and I know you've treated many people for neuropathy, and all of a sudden they've got their first relief that they've ever had. So we've got to look at this and how it can apply to COVID-19. My goodness, why not?
Absolutely. I would be surprised. I'd be shocked if it doesn't. So it's something we should definitely be looking at. And we're going to be doing more of this because we know that it's a powerful tool, and it crosses lots of boundaries. You know, I donate a week of my time to Gary Knowles' retreat in Texas, and we treat 40 people in that week. We just go there to do it. We don't charge anything for it. We do our research there. And Gary has watched what we do there and has become very impressed. In fact, he's making a film now that shows 2 of our cases. He filmed interviews with 2 people that we were treating who had neuropathies, meaning they had numb feet that were painful. One was in a wheelchair and the other was on crutches. And over a period of 2 treatments, the man that was in a wheelchair was now on crutches, and the man that was on crutches was running around the place like there was nothing wrong with him. And he's making a film that's called Curing the Incurable, of which we're a central part of. So when that comes out, if it makes it to PBS, which is what we're hoping, that could revolutionize things. This is what has to happen, is people have to see it to believe it.
And in a way, maybe, you know, COVID is an evolutionary driver in that way, because it's making people look at different alternatives. People who don't want vaccines, people who don't want invasive solutions. Light therapy may be getting its opportunity now. And I hope people go to drsaputo.com, our website, with lots of free information, no membership fees or anything like that. It's just a lot of good information, lots of videos, and you could learn more about this.
Yeah, we made 2,600 audios and video files, and it's a public service. So no ads, there's no source of revenue from this thing. It is just something that we have done because we want to have information that's integrative, that's cutting edge, looking at pioneering medicine available to you.
That people can't find anyplace else usually, especially light therapy.
That's true. And there's a lot of information about that. So you're listening to A Voice of Reason. Thank you for listening to this show. I hope that you will take home some of the message that there are things out there that are possible to do, that we have to keep an open mind about. And if we'll do that and we'll start looking at things in a way that's more open-minded, we're going to be able to do a lot more to help people. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.